Let's make a cheesecake. It's jiggling. Hi guys, it's Hana. Happy Thanksgiving. We're making a pumpkin cotton cheesecake today. It's my contribution to the Food52 Residents Thanksgiving menu. Pumpkin cotton cheesecake, it's not something you'd normally find on a Thanksgiving spread, but I highly recommend that you try it. It's such a cute little, delightful contribution to the dessert table where a Japanese cheesecake, which is also known as a cotton cheesecake or souffle cheesecake, and just as the name suggests, it's super light, almost like a chiffon textured cheesecake, and that will get married with what we know to be an American style pumpkin pie or even pumpkin cheesecake. Before we get started, please like and subscribe. You can find all of these recipes on food52.com. So the first step, let's talk about the cake pan. Today I'll be using a 6-inch cake pan, which is obviously smaller than the standard 8 or 9 that you might be used to. You can use a straight edged one. Today we'll be using a spring form. All you have to do is ensure that it's covered in a couple layers of aluminum foil. And what you want to do is butter the insides really well, get some parchment paper, cut out a circle for the bottom and a long collar for the sides so that when it's done, it'll be much easier to take the pumpkin cotton cheesecake out. So you guys ready to make a cheesecake, a pumpkin cheesecake? So before we get started on the batter, make sure you preheat your oven to 325, get a kettle going with water. We're going to use the hot water for our bain-marie. I'll talk about that in a few minutes, and then we can get started on this. So we have softened cream cheese and butter. You can use your stand mixer for this, or just a large bowl with electric mixers, or even just a whisk. It might take you a little longer, but you can certainly get this recipe done by hand. And a bit of sugar. We're going to get the cream cheese, butter, and sugar combined first. Before I turn this on, you can find the entire recipe with the specific measurements down in the description box, as well as on food52.com. Okay, let's cream the butter and cream cheese with the sugar. Don't forget to scrape down between each new ingredient addition. This is just canned pumpkin, the type you can find in every supermarket this time of year. We'll be adding the 3 egg yolks one at a time, just to make sure that each one gets incorporated completely. Give it a pause while I put in the dried spices so it doesn't fly all over the place. So we have ground ginger, cinnamon, cloves, and a little salt just to balance out the sweetness. Everybody in. Great, just want to mix until combined, and you'll see the beautiful specks. So with the dry ingredients, we just want to use a small sieve to get it all in, just to make sure that there are no lumps. And today I'm using both AP flour and cornstarch. And what that does is give this souffle-like cheesecake a little bit more body and stability. Just until combined. Final step, just use your spatula to make sure there are no lumps or dry spots anywhere. So the batter is nicely combined. We're just gonna set it off to the side and get started on our egg whites to make the meringue portion. And if you're at home and using electric beaters with the 2 whisks, I would recommend that you go to the sink, wash them with hot soapy water, and then cool them down just so that the egg whites aren't meeting a hot utensil. We're gonna start on low speed until they get foamy, and then we'll start incorporating the sugar in thirds. I'm gonna slowly add the sugar. The whole process should take about 4 to 5 minutes, so just be patient. So I'd say when it reaches this level of like a soft peak, and this is what I mean by that, it is still very loose, but it's not quite at where we want it to be. I'm just going to add a small squeeze, like a 1/4 teaspoon of lemon juice. And what this acid does, it operates in the same way that cream of tartar, which might be a little harder to obtain for some folks, does. And that just helps the meringue hold its shape and give it a nice structure. Then we're gonna just continue on until we get firm but not stiff peaks. If the egg whites are too stiff, it results in kind of a grainy cheesecake, and we don't want that. We still want it to be really nice, glossy, and soft. Okay, let's check on our meringue. So you can see that it's got a nice structure and the flop is just here. So you just want it to flop over. I think we're in a good spot. Do you see it looks like it's created a flop in the bowl, this tip here, and it's glossy. You want it to be nice and shiny, okay? So now we have the pumpkin batter and the egg whites, and we're just going to combine the two. We don't want to lose out on all that wonderful air we just created with the egg whites. So we'll add it to the pumpkin batter in thirds. You don't have to be super gentle, but you do want to respect the egg whites and all that wonderful air you created. Last third. So in this recipe, we're not using any chemical leaveners like a baking powder or baking soda. So it's all egg white air. And so we just have to be mindful that, like a souffle, it will rise in the oven and then it might deflate a bit, and that's totally normal and okay. Okay, so this looks ready to go into the cake pan. So look at that. It's almost like the same color as the baking parchment. As you can see, it's really almost cloud-like in texture even before it's getting baked. It's gonna rise and then it's gonna fall a bit. And make sure you get every last bit of batter with your rubber spatula. What I like about this though is that it's not too sweet. You know, it's perfect for like my mom. She loves a not too sweet dessert. An important thing is just knocking out any excess air. So just with a flat surface, you know, a few times. We're going to put the cheesecake in a bain-marie, which basically is a water bath. And what that does is evenly distribute the heat while it's cooking so that everything can cook at a really gentle manner. You want it to go up about 1 inch. Just gonna check with my trusty ruler stick. Oh, I got it. Oh my God, highlight of the day. And it's ready for the oven. So just be very careful. Have your oven open and then move it over. So we're gonna bake it at 325 for 25 minutes, then reduce the heat to 300 for 40 minutes, and then we're going to just test for the crumb. If there are a few crumbs hanging on, it's totally fine. Then we'll turn off the oven completely and let the cheesecake hang out in the oven, now turned off, for 15 minutes. And don't be surprised if the kind of souffle effect falls a bit. That will be completely normal. You just want to slowly decrease the heat before introducing the cheesecake to room temperature. So our cheesecake has been cooling for at least 15-20 minutes. You have one of two options. You can enjoy it right away while it's still warm. It's delicious that way. I think it's even better a few hours in the fridge, up to overnight. You can even put this in the fridge, you know, as is, just, you know, covered with a little plate or something, and the texture is completely different from how you would enjoy it now. So right now it's warm, almost like a souffle in texture, but with some time in the fridge, it'll firm up a bit and be a little closer to a cheesecake. Let's have a taste. You can take a look at the texture. It is kind of like a sponge cake meets a cheesecake. It's still a nice, pretty marigold color, and it's covered in some confectioner sugar to make it really look festive. Yeah, the texture is really soft, like a souffle. You get all of those warming spices, the ground cloves, cinnamon, ginger. There's no mistake, this is definitely a fall holiday dessert, but it's so light and airy that you might want to go back for, seconds and thirds. It's the perfect dessert to have on the table if you just want something a little bit sweet after a heavy meal. And again, it'll taste even better tomorrow, so have a small slice now and even bigger one to enjoy for the day ahead. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you guys make a pumpkin cotton cheesecake. It's just the cutest little thing. And happy holidays, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.